Today's class is on Christmas trees, how to find a fresh one, how to keep it fresh, and the different varieties that actually stay fresh. There's certain ones that last longer than others. What I thought I would do is just go down the list. We've got 3 different varieties of trees here. We've kind of picked the ones that last a little longer or are the most popular. And so I thought I'd just go down the list, show you what the differences are, and then which ones last longer. We should start with the most famous of all of them. Let's go with the varieties, and then we'll show you how to actually pick one that will stay fresh longer. Those 2 things, those are the most important. And then maybe we'll even touch on wreaths, swags, the greens that you cut, bring inside, and we'll go over that too. So that's the program. And then at the very end, we'll go over stands, refresh your tree preservatives, that kind of stuff. We'll go over all that as well. Does it work? What's the best? That kind of stuff. So we'll cover, this will be fast-paced. The first tree we want to cover is the most popular, and this is the first week in December. This is a Douglas fir. We'll turn this around. It's really soft. It looks like a big teddy bear. It's actually harder to decorate just because it's so full. It doesn't leave us room. There's less layering to it. This tree is the least expensive of all of them. That's because it flushes two spurts of growth a year, so it grows twice as fast as some of the higher elevation trees that we'll show you. This is one that personally I would not put up in my house too soon. There's no way this tree, the first week in December, will last until Christmas. I don't care how much we really try or how fresh it is. They just have more foliage and it loses more moisture faster than any of the others. And because it grows twice as fast, the trunk on them is smaller. And the trunk is actually the water holding capacity for a tree. So the heavier the tree is, pick that up. This is pretty heavy for a Douglas fir, but still it'll be 1/3 the weight of let's say a noble fir or a Nordmann fir. Those are just bigger, juicier. The trunks on them are much larger, that's where it holds all of its moisture. And so this one is great right before. This will be the #1 seller 2 weeks prior to Christmas. People will be rushing in, taking it home. We'll show you how to keep this fresh. I can show you how to spray it, make sure it lasts long, but you'll have to coax it into not drying out too soon. But this is the #1 seller, or has been. It's actually changed. Now the noble firs are now the #1 seller, but this in the past has always been the #1 seller. But personally, I don't care for this particular tree, just because it's harder to decorate and it's harder to keep fresh. Those are the only 2 reasons. Myself, this year I'm going to plant, or put up in our house, not plant. These are noble firs, and this tree you can hardly lift. What's a similar sized tree? This is probably similar to what that one was, and it's at least 2 times heavier than your Douglas fir. Just because the needles, you can just tell they're fleshier, they're soft, they're more layered, so they're easier to decorate, and they last much, much longer. And so this one will easily get you through. You get a fresh one, easily get you through till Christmas. This is a noble fir. It's a #1 seller anymore because of its layering and because of how it lasts. So a lot of our wreaths we make out of these because they last longer. So you can put them up behind that hearth or the front door, and they're going to last for you much better than, let's say, a Douglas fir will. Our Douglas fir, we do sell some of those wreaths, but literally they were just picked out of the forest like days ago, brought in, so we're getting the freshest we can, and then we spray them with cloud cover. We'll show you what that is here shortly. This is #1 seller, but when you're checking a tree, what you're looking for is you're rubbing the needles, and if you see a bunch of these green needles pop off, stay away from that tree. That is a tree that's already dry and starting to shed leaves. If you see a few brown needles on the inside, there's a few brown needles on the inside of the tree, don't worry about that. That's the natural cycle, how they grow. I wouldn't worry about the brown needles. We try to shake all those out when we set them up so that we shed most of that. But if you see the green needles, those are the ones you're watching for. So go by weight, rub the needles if you see a bunch of them popping off, or if you bend the needle and it crinks, or it bends, or it folds, that's another indication that needle is dry, or that part of the tree is dry. So stay away from those trees. They should be soft and supple, and it should smell good. going by that, you pick it up, it's one of the heavier. If you got 2 or 3 that you see down the line that you kind of were drawn to, pick them up and buy the heaviest one. I'd go for shape first, but then if there's a couple of them, just kind of lean it back and go, oh, that one's heavier than the other one, because it has more moisture in it than the other one. That, and I would never buy a tree that's been outside in the sun, in the Arizona sun. So these open lots that are just out there in the wind and the sun, those trees dry out so fast. And I've had open lots like that. I want one that's been either undercover or just been opened or is protected some way. Those are all indications they'll last longer for you going down the way. The last tree that we have here is the Nordmann Fir. It looks like this. This is a Nordmann Fir. It's very, very similar to a Douglas fir. In fact, they're related. It will last as well as it's got a big trunk. All these, the Nordmann and the noble firs, are grown at higher altitudes. So they're slower growing. They take, on average, about twice as old as, let's say, a Douglas fir. So the trunks are much larger, has more water holding capacity, and they're more layered. So they're easier to decorate. This one, the way I can tell, because it looks so similar, is you flip the needle up and you'll see it's got a silver undercoating. That's how I know this is a Nordmann, that's a Douglas fir. If it's solid green, it's going to be a noble fir. If it's got that two-toned colored needle, that's a Nordmann fir. They both last equally as well. I've had both up in my house here locally. They have similar lifespans. If you're to spray this with a cloud cover, a clear spray we'll show you in a minute, it would easily take you to the new year and probably keep on going. You'll probably still have some freshness to it by the time all the celebrations are all done. Those are your 3 choices. Then you go by, if this first week in December, I would say look towards your Nordmann or your noble firs. They're going to last better for you, or the likelihood is they're going to last better than, let's say, a Douglas fir. So the Dougs, I would say a week or 2 before Christmas. Those are great to buy because they'll easily take you in the Christmas season. But these will be a little bit more expensive too because they grow slower because they're grown at higher altitudes. Let's show you a couple of the products that make them last longer. They're up here, and we'll show you a stand system that's getting a big heavy tree to stand up. It's actually a challenge because those old side bolts that you try to screw in, they don't like to hold up a heavy tree. And so we come up with this particular system. This is the best stand. I know it looks a little cheesy. This is actually a cotton gin spike that we've welded onto rebar. And so it's stainless steel. And then we've got this 1.5 gallon bucket that holds water. So many of these systems, they've got bolts that screw in on the sides that'll never keep it upright. And then the water holding capacity, the bowl is so small, the tree takes up the moisture so fast that it can't keep up. And all you got to do is have a half day's worth of lack of water, and that bottom of that tree will callus over, create a scar or a callus to it, and it will stop taking up water unless you rough it up and keep it going. You got to keep the water up. It's got to keep it moist, or it will stop taking up water. That, and when you do put water inside this bowl, use warm tap water. Don't use cold water. Trees take up warm water better than cold water. And so you'll find that the uptake will be much better on that. These things will take up water for a good 2 weeks. It'll get you right before Christmas, and all of a sudden it'll start to shut down. It just goes, oh, I just can't, I don't have roots. What am I thinking? It just stops taking up water all of a sudden. And so this is a great stand. We drill all of our trees here. It takes a special drill. You hammer that right on there, and it will stay up straight. I mean, just immediately. The cats could tackle the tree, and it would still be okay. It wouldn't go over. All of our trees here are kept up. We don't put the bowl on it, but there's a stand like this in every tree. Even in the wind, they stay up straight. So it's a good system for that. For my own tree, I am going to spray it with cloud cover. This is an agriculture product. We actually used this in the landscape for hollies, rhododendrons, azaleas. Those things are kind of lush. They don't like the dry. They like humid, Midwestern kind of climates, we'll spray it with this, and what it does is a clear coat that goes over the surface of the foliage, and it keeps the tree or shrub from perspiring. It keeps it from losing moisture out of its foliage. So you can see that would be a real benefit as it's pulling up water from the base. If it doesn't perspire as quickly, it's going to last longer. So this is what I do because I'm going to keep it up till New Year's or so. So that's three weeks now. That's a long time for a living green to stay fresh. Also makes it safer because it's less fire prone. More moisture in the tree means it's not going to burn. As soon as it gets dry, I mean, all you got to do is look at it. It goes poof up in the smokes. That's one thing I'll use. And then you'll see on each of the trees, we've got a preservative, and then we have a bag. A tree bag, this is just a ginormous trash bag. And so I put it on the ground on my floor before I get started, before I even put the tree in, before I put the stand on, before anything, I put this on the floor. And really what this is going to do, it's going to keep water from getting onto my floor and staining it. That's one thing. But mainly at the end of the year, I'll take that bag and just go up over the tree, over the whole thing, and it keeps all those needles from dropping where the tree was to the front door. That mess it makes, you're picking up needles from now until February. It keeps all those needles out. It's a very inexpensive piece of plastic, but it's a huge trash bag. It's called a Christmas tree bag. That's one thing that I really am sold on. If you've ever had a tree that had a lot of needles, it makes a difference. And then the tree preservative. Does it work? Does it not work? It does work. Don't use aspirin. Don't use Sprite, 7-Up. There's all these wives' tales or old remedies. A lot of those sugary things clog up the pores, and the plant won't take it up. So you're almost doing more damage than good. This actually keeps the pores open, especially if you're mixing it with warm water. It'll actually allow the tree to wick up or take up more water. Usually I'll use this at the very beginning, and I don't reapply. I just use it once, it'll keep it open and keep it going. We sell these kits together, like $5.99. They come with both. They're on each of the trees. I recommend both of them. What else is here? I've kind of covered everything. We do sell these, which are just wicking. This is like a huge diaper for trees. They just absorb all the water. I would say the same thing applies to your greens. If you're going to take a swag, we're just taking cedars and noble firs and white pines, putting them in a door swag, put a bow on there. These will dry up even more because they don't have the trunk. So they're nice and heavy. They are very, very fresh. But these, if I take them home, I do actually spray them with cloud cover. All of our trees and greens are sprayed with a light coating of this already. But if I really want this to last in a south-facing door where the sun's beating on it, you're going to need to really protect it. I would even say mist this with a spray of water, and the plant will actually absorb that through the foliage. Same thing with your greens. If you're taking, let's say this pretty wreath, we've sprayed it with a cloud cover, but if you're going to hang that outside in a dry wind, if we don't get any moisture and a storm doesn't come through, these plants will actually absorb the moisture out of the air, or any moisture that you throw onto the foliage, it'll actually absorb that. So make it fresher longer. Go by the weight. If it feels light and dry, stay away from that, because as soon as you hang that up, it's just going to vaporize and start losing moisture. You can tell a fresh wreath, it'll have some girth and some weight to it. So watch for that. Same thing applies here as to the trees. The heavier it is, the more moisture that those branch structures are holding. And that's today's class on fresh greens, trees. I was going to touch on living trees as well. If you wanted to go over that, you can go down how to use an actual landscape tree or shrub and then use it, decorate it, and then bring it in the house, and then how to transition it back out. So if you got a minute or two, we'll go over maybe 5 minutes. I'll give you the quick lesson on that. Living trees, the difference, living trees are they've got the roots still. So they usually aren't as shapely, so these have been sheared and shaped to be the perfect tree shape. These would be more natural. The most common is going to be your spruce, that Albert spruce, Colorado spruce, Baccarat spruce. There's a lot of different varieties. The Nordmanns, the noble firs, and the Douglas fir, those are not you're not going to find those as a living Christmas tree because they don't grow out here. They're just made to ship around the country in mass production, and there's hundreds of acres of nothing but different kinds of rolling hills of Christmas trees. They're grown kind of like corn in rows. They go and harvest them, and they replug a new one. These are actually grown to be more root structure. It's all about the roots. If the roots are healthy, then the top is going to take. But you could easily decorate, let's say this Fat Albert spruce. The secret with these is don't keep them in the house from now until the new year. About 7 to 10 days is as long as you want to keep a living tree in the house. Because what happens is it starts to wake up. It starts to actually flush growth. The sap starts to flow in it. And so you want to keep it in a short distance time. It likes to be outside. It likes to be cold. Equally, a lot of folks will take this, decorate it, put it on a deck, on a patio. They'll enjoy it, but it's out there, and then they'll bring it indoors the week prior to all the parties. When you take it back outside, you need to allow it to adjust to be cold again. It's got to get used to that cold again. And so the sap has started to wake up. You take it back outdoors after it's all done, first of the year, December 26th, whenever. Keep it up against the south-facing wall, because your house throws off an amazing amount of heat. That'll keep it just insulated enough that it'll get used to that cold. You keep it out there for about a week. Let it adjust. Keep it underneath the patio, underneath a deck or a covering in some way. It allows it to keep the frost off of it. It allows it to adapt and get used to that cold again. Keep it there for about a week. Keep it watered, and then go plant it. It will be perfectly fine in the cold. It likes that. It wants to be cold. These trees go down to minus 40 or maybe it's even minus 60 degrees. It's some crazy man cold. They like to be cold. So that's why they do so well here. Go ahead and plant it. We've got a handout on just that, how to do living trees. The other little tidbit I can give you, two things. One, when you water them inside, water them with ice cubes. Ice cubes, just a tray a day or so. As they slowly melt, it'll keep the roots cool. And then also, it's like an artificial drip system. So it helps the plant take up more moisture as it's using up that moisture. It will use moisture in the house, especially with that furnace going. Keep all the heat registries, keep it away from the fireplace. Don't let heat blow right on it, because it'll wake it up even faster. That, and this is a grower's bucket. It does have holes in the bottom of it. I've had some customers over the years make the mistake, they put it on their wood floor, and water comes through and then it's stained, it left a ring there. So put a saucer, something underneath it. Maybe that's where you take that Christmas tree protector, a diaper for a cut Christmas tree, use it underneath for your living trees. It'll absorb the moisture and keep you from staining the carpet, that kind of stuff. Just school of hard knocks from other gardeners. Those are the things you use. Then just pick the variety that you like, the size that you like. If they tend to be a little shorter for your budget, put it on a box, raise it up. It's more room for gifts. So some things you can do to get more value to it. But I think good choices. Arborvitae, probably the closest I have to the Douglas Fir. A little hard to decorate, but I just saw on Facebook someone posted their Charlie Brown tree, a crooked white pine they're going to plant. One red ball. It was classic. Now the most popular would be your spruce trees. I really like this one. This is a Norway spruce. It's related to the Colorado spruce, but these are super green. There's no other spruce that has that kind of green to it. More your Colorados are trending more towards the blue sides. Even the green spruce, look, kind of have that blue hue. This is a true bright Kelly green that's very striking out in the yard, very fresh. This is its color all the time. Central leader, big swooping branches. So don't let it confuse you. This will turn out to be a 30, 40 foot tree with 12 foot branches that swoop down. So it's going to take up some real estate out in the yard. There's a lot of different choices you can play with. We've got them all the way from the native pinyon pines to Austrian pines. Probably the most popular of the Christmas tree looking, this time of year, the most popular pine. There's a lot of choices. One will call to you over the other ones, but you all treat them all the same. In for about a week to 10 days, back out for about a week, let them get used to the cold, then plant them. come in for the handout on that one. The class got already, but you can also have it.